Coming up on our broadcast for tonight, Mitt Romney wins the Illinois Republican primary.
And a local Rhode Island woman is voted off of American Idol.
Following that is sports, the Bryant update, and weather.
And it all starts right now.
Straight from the Bulldog Studios at Bryant University, this is the Bryant News Broadcast, hosted by Todd Stewart and Sarah Larrabee, featuring Nolan Thompson with the weather, Brian Walsh and Chad Sable with sports, Dana Arenik with the Bryant Update, and Doug Sieber with the World News. This episode is sponsored by the Media Production Club.
In political news this week, Mitt Romney won the Illinois Republican primary with some ease on Tuesday evening, allowing him to likely grow his delegate advantage over his rivals in the fight for the party's presidential nomination. Despite Romney's victory, the Republican race appears to stretch on for a few more weeks. Former House Speaker Newt Gingrich has shown no willingness to leave the race, and Santorum's campaign has circulated its delegate math, which focuses on halting Romney's march to gather the 1,144 delegates needed to secure the nomination. The campaign turns next to Saturday's caucus in Louisiana, then to April 3rd in Wisconsin, Maryland, and Washington, D.C. Well, last week I had the pleasure of being in the nation's capital on one of the most beautiful days of the year, and one question I kept asking was, is that a cherry blossom? And the common response was, you'll know when you see one. Well, Washington, D.C. is set to celebrate its 100th year friendship with the beautiful tree by kickstarting its year's National Cherry Blossom Festival, which started last Tuesday and runs through April 27th. The history of the cherry blossom goes way back to 1912, when Mayor Yukio Ozaki of Tokyo presented 3,000 cherry trees to the city of Washington, D.C. The trees represented their lasting friendship and continues to this day. If you're looking to get a glimpse of the famous trees, the National Park Service predicts that the peak blossom period will be between March 20th and 23rd.
In the past 2 months, Rhode Island has had 2 Lucky Powerball winners. The latest was sold at Quickett's right here in Smithfield. With jackpots over $330 million, the state of Rhode Island will receive over $17 million in additional tax revenue. But what will that money be used for? The Rhode Island Association of School Committees is calling on Governor Lincoln Chafee to use the lottery tax money to enhance technology in public schools and provide wireless internet access to classrooms. In this tough economy that especially Rhode Island is facing, where this money will be used has become quite controversial, but no word yet on who or what the extra revenue will be allocated to. Now in entertainment news, a local Rhode Island woman has made it to the top 10 on this season's American Idol. EVP, as she has been called by host Ryan Seacrest, is from South Kingston and has been an Idol favorite from the start. After a new makeover, Erica rocked the stage last week with her strong and soulful voice and has sang tributes to Whitney Houston and Billy Joel. We are sad to say that EVP was in the bottom 3 this past week and was sent home. However, we wish her the best in the future. If you're an Idol fan, make sure to catch this week's performance on Fox Providence every Tuesday and Wednesday at 8 p.m.
Well, that's it for news. Nolan, we had some abnormal weather this past couple days. What can we expect for the future?
Well, Todd, we can expect a lot more of that abnormal weather. We should be expecting a lot more sunshine. So if you're looking to get to that Bryant Beach, it's perfect weather all through Saturday. Temperatures should be between 80s and 60s leading up to the weekend, and then Sunday and Monday expect a chance of rain, and temperatures should drop to the mid to upper 50s. Well, that's your weather this week. Now over to Chad and Brian with sports.
Thanks, Nolan. There has been some shocking news in the NFL. Saints head coach Sean Payton has been suspended for 1 year. Former defensive coordinator Greg Williams has been suspended indefinitely. General manager Mickey Loomis was suspended for the first 8 regular season games. And Saints assistant head coach Joe Vitt has also been suspended 6 games and fined $100,000. The NFL said in its statement that the suspensions for Payton, Loomis, and Vitt are without pay. The team has been fined $500,000 and lost 2 second-round draft picks, one in 2012 and one in 2013, as a result of a bounty program conducted by the team through the 2009 through the 2011 seasons that targeted opposing players. Roger Goodell has quoted, "When there is targeting of players for injury and cash rewards over a 3-year period, the involvement of the coaching staff and 3 years of denials and willful disrespect of the rules, a strong and lasting message must be sent that such conduct is totally unacceptable and has no place in the game." As the NFL commissioner, Roger Goodell had a huge statement to make, and he had to show not only to the NFL but to the sports world in general that the NFL has taken this issue seriously. Sure, it may have seemed like a joke at first, but what Roger Goodell has put that this is a serious matter. Now, the New Orleans Saints have bigger questions to answer, such as who is going to be the new head coach for them, and how far will they go through this year without Sean Payton and without a lot of their assistant coaches, such as Joe Vitt. We will see what will happen for the rest of the season for the New Orleans Saints. Now over to Brian.
Another shocking story in sports is the Knicks. The Knicks have been unquestionably the most sporadic team in the NBA. Ever since former head coach Mike D'Antoni got fired and Mike Woodson took over, the team has only lost one game. The reason for the previous winning streak is because of this so-called newfound energy on the team. Personally, I think that is pathetic. This was a team who was supposed to be one of the best in the East, and they just dogged it for the first half of the season. Why do you ask? It's simple. They did not like their coach, and now that they've finally gotten their way, they've actually started to care. In any other profession, even if you don't like the way things are run, you got to deal with it, and you got to give it your all. The NBA, to me, has become frustrating to watch because they cater to their star players like they're overgrown babies. We've seen this with people such as Carmelo Anthony and LeBron James. It's sickening, and I really wish the NBA would change this. Now, the first weekend of the NCAA tournament is now in the book. There have been many surprises, such as 15 seeds like Lehigh and Norfolk State knocking off number 2 seeds. The first number 1 seed fell in Michigan State. So far, I think the quality of basketball has been great, outstanding, shown in the opening weekend of the tournament. And it's been one of the best so far this year. Now, Chad, after all you've seen, what do you think the biggest shock is going to be in the tournament, or has been?
Well, I think the biggest shock has been Norfolk State, by far. I think after beating number 2 Missouri, who was actually thought about being a 1 seed in the tournament, Missouri had beaten teams like Kansas and Baylor and Kansas State throughout the regular season. And for them to lose for Norfolk State, it was their first time in the tournament. That was just a huge shock to me. I did not even see that coming.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people did. A lot of people were probably just ripping up their brackets afterwards. But I mean, the thing is with Missouri, you knew eventually they were going to fall. They didn't really have the shooting. They didn't have the size. What really did it for me is the fact that Kentucky is probably going to win the whole entire thing. And just how easy it's been. You know, they're supposed to play UConn. UConn didn't even win their first round game. Fab Melo gets suspended. The injuries to Henson and Kendall Marshall, you know, teams that were supposed to be competitive with them are not even, you know, competitive anymore. It's kind of sad.
Yeah, well, I think it's going to be interesting for a potential rematch between Kentucky and Florida if that happens. Because before, Kentucky has been like the 1 seed all through the year, and they were like, oh, the SEC is weak. But now they might actually face Florida in the Final Four, so that could be interesting to see if that happens.
That would be a fun matchup, and I know you're going to like to see the North Carolina-Kansas in the Elite Eight.
So that'll be a good one, too.
And that was sports. And now over to Dana with the Bryant News Update.
Thanks, Brian and Chad. Dana is actually out sick tonight, so I'm Nicolette Riccio, and I will be filling in. In Bryant news, before spring break, the spring weekend concert performer was finally revealed. Big Sean will blow up the campus this year with the company opener, Loud. Be sure to keep a lookout for ticket sales for spring weekend to see Big Sean and Loud at Bryant University this year. In other news, the Bryant Ski and Snowboard Club hosted a Rail Jam fundraiser to benefit Relay for Life on Saturday, March 24th, outside the Bryant Center lawn. There were raffles, prizes, and food, and many of Bryant's skiers and riders showcased their talents. Back to you, Todd and Sarah.
Well, on behalf of the cast and crew here at B&B, I'm Todd Stewart.
And I'm Sarah Larrabee. Make sure to tune in every week right here on Channel 68 when we bring you more on the things that you want to know. Have a great night.